Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Janelle, and today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. I had to think of what month it was. Basically the weather has gotten kind of gloomy and rainy and gray today, which I'm actually all for. If you can't tell, I have a bit of a sunburn. The weather's been gorgeous and I've made the most of it. I've really made the most of it. But the earth needs some rain, and it's just a reason to get cozy, talk about books, and grab a coffee. So grab a drink, grab a snack, because I'm just ready to chit chat about books. So now, basically for kind of my reading and how it's been, in April and May I had reading slumps. Pretty bad, especially in May. The books that I read, I really enjoyed. Overall, they were very good books, but I just had a lot of trouble getting into a book, having the attention span for a book and wanting to read. That changed in June. June has been such a better month mentally and everything. It's been amazing. And most of these books I read within 1 week, so that was fun and enjoyable. But the first one that I read was Persuasion by Jane Austen. So for Jane's works, I have read Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion, that's it now. So this was my first time reading it. I quite enjoyed it. I did do a full review of it. I don't have full reviews for all of the books. I'm going to kind of be changing how I do reviews. So yeah, I'll touch on that though a little bit later. But overall, I really liked it, and I gave it 4 stars. The romance was fantastic. Quite like this one. Then, the next one that I read was a very special one, and that is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. So, I literally read this in like less than 24 hours. I loved it. I kind of knew I would love it, and I'm just like consistently more and more confused why I never experienced Tolkien's writing sooner, but you know what? That's fine. I get to really love it now and discover it now. But overall, again, I really quite enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't give it 5 because like I haven't read the whole series. And I don't know if this one will be my favorite in the whole series. I'm not sure. I have started The Fellowship, and I am really enjoying that. And just at the moment, anyway, I prefer Fellowship. But I did really love The Hobbit. I have a review for this one too. And the ones I have reviews for, I will link in the description box below. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. Okay, so the next book I read was pretty much just by pure fluke. And it's The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock by Imogen Hermes Gower. It's it's fantastic. It's so atmospheric. The characters are amazing. The characters are so unique, and each one of them is just so well developed and well rounded. It's not like a little, cutesy like The Little Mermaid. It's dark, it's atmospheric, it's emotional. There was a point in the book where everything was just the overall atmosphere was just very sad and very just full of sorrow, and it felt like it was seeping out of the pages to me. So I read quickly through that part, but that just goes to show how amazing her writing is. This is the kind of book and the kind of vibe of book I've been looking for a long time. But that's the thing is, yes, I'm a mood reader, but I quite often won't be like, I'm in the mood for romance, or I'm in the mood for a historical fiction or a classic. I'm in the mood for a book to make me feel this way, which you don't really know before you read the book. So I really love this one. I gave it 5 stars, and I have a review for it also. Then, the next one is very special to me. I'm really happy I read this one. So I live in Northern Ireland. I've lived here for almost 3 years now, and I have wanted to read books set in Northern Ireland or by Northern Irish authors. And I'm starting to find some. I started to figure out like where to look and all these things. But as well as that, I was wanting to get into short stories. I found this in an independent bookshop in Belfast. The author's from Belfast. The stories are set. The ones that mention locations are set in Belfast and surrounding area, but it is Postcard Stories by Jan Carson. And you can see I tabbed some of my favorites. I don't tab that often, but I tend to with poetry, and I thought I might with short stories, and turns out I do. They're extremely short and like one page each, but they really hit home. Her writing is insanely beautiful. So there was some that were like 3 stars. There's some that were 5 stars. Overall, I rated it 4 stars. And I've got a review for it, but I quite liked this one. I guess I could have just summarized and said I don't have a review for the last 2, but I didn't quite realize that. So the next one I finished. I've been reading it from just last month. Yeah, from last month, and I was just honestly really happy to be done. It is the Phantom of the Opera Muppets edition. So it's from Muppets Meets the Classics, and this took me like a month to read. And it shouldn't have. It honestly, like, the font is large enough. It's almost but not quite 300 pages. It has illustrations. It's meant for a younger audience. Like, I was just basically by the end very frustrated it was taking me this long. But what it was, I think, is that there was nothing to keep the page turning for me, because I've read the book, I've seen the movie, I've seen the musical, I know the story, I love the story, but there was nothing like, oh, what's going to happen next, because I know what's going to happen next. So there was the excitement at the beginning of finding out like which Muppets were which characters, but once you know that, it's kind of just doing a reread with different names and different things involved. The ending did pick up though. I liked the ending quite a bit. The one thing that did bother me, which, I mean, it's like a parody. I don't need to be this particular. I get that. I know that. But I found the timeline to be really inconsistent because it wasn't clear if, let's say, it was set in modern day, but they were doing a performance of the Phantom. That was never said. So the way it kind of originally seemed was as if it was all happening during when the Phantom did, which was what, the 1800s? Because even the 1800s were mentioned once, and it was like, okay, that was totally fine, but then suddenly LinkedIn and Facebook were mentioned, and I was like, okay, well, those were not around then, so it was like, is this modern day? And then it mentioned, I think, something like the 70s or 80s, because then I was like, well, maybe it's set in the 70s. I didn't need to read into it as much as I did. I think what it was is it probably was more or less modern day, and it just, because it mentioned Facebook and LinkedIn, and it mentioned a couple very modern things like that, but then it would say, and this will be invented in, 1990 or something like that, and it's like, so wait, are they in the 70s? But like Facebook, LinkedIn, like, no. So it doesn't really matter, but it was throwing me off. Overall, I enjoyed it. I thought there was points where I was laughing and I thought it was funny, and the dialogue between the characters was great. It was really enjoyable, but it just took so long to read. When I finished it, like, oh, I was so happy. I was done. So I gave it 3 stars, because overall it was fine. It just didn't have my attention as much as it kind of needed to, basically. So the last book I read, I didn't do a review on, but I did do a vlog on, and that vlog will be coming out after this wrap up. It'll be coming out probably mid-July, I want to say. So keep an eye out for that. But it is The Fire Starters by Jan Carson. The reason I didn't do a review of this is because I still don't really know what my thoughts are. I still can't format them to make concise points. I did kind of just at the end of the vlog, when I finished it, talked about how I felt about it. It is very dark. First and foremost, I will say that it is a dark book. There are trigger warnings. So I wouldn't recommend it if thoughts of suicide or self-harm are triggering. Then nope. So it was very dark, but she wrote it so well. You get two different perspectives. It's about two different fathers. It's set in Belfast during the Troubles, but there's also a bit of magical realism where sirens are brought in. I don't want to say much more beyond that, but it is very dark. But so it's not like a happy-go-lucky, but I did adore it. Her writing is just amazing. She's the same author who did the postcard stories. I think because it's set during the Troubles, right? It's set during this real thing that happened. She was able to pull from real scenarios. You know, maybe fictional characters and maybe fictional exactly where or how things happened, but the overall what happened completely did. I asked my husband and my aunt, I was like, you know, this all is happening, is this, and they're like, oh yeah, that happened, all of that, everything you're saying happened during the Troubles, and it's like, oh right, okay, so definitely there is a sense of reality to it as well. It's hard to describe, and I don't want to describe it too much, but I do want to say it is dark, it does deal with dark topics. I did overall really enjoy it, but it just completely befuddled me. So I was like, I don't even know how I feel. But I will read everything she writes, like hands down. So I gave it 4 stars. Maybe someday it'll turn into a 5. I don't know, or maybe if I reread it, it'll be a 5. It's the kind of where I'm like, I just don't know, like, what is a rating for this. But overall, it was really good, and if it sounds like something that you think would interest you, I recommend it. Like, I wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but if it's something that you think you'd enjoy, definitely read it, because the writing's amazing, and you're just there going through all of it with the characters. So I'll say that's the review. There we go. Okay. Those are all the books I read in June. One thing, I don't know if I'll do this every month, because it'll probably vary month to month, but one thing I want to try to do every month, a new little goal, if you will, nothing to do with reading, okay? Well, I mean, it could. What it is every month in my wrap-up, I would like to say my highlight of the month, what the best moment in the month was to me, you know, just something that made me so insanely happy, because I think that's really important to focus on things that bring joy and bring happiness. And some months it might be a tiny little thing, like we got Nutella this day and it made it for me, made my day. But for this month, what happened was I was reading, and it's over there. You'll see it in my TBR, okay? But I was reading this book, Antrim Folk Tales, when I visited here for the first time in April of 2018. I got 2 books. Specifically, I got Down Folk Tales and Antrim Folk Tales, because my great-grandmother's from County Antrim. And I hadn't read either of them, but I started reading them started reading the Antrim one a few weeks ago, and it mentioned Rathlin Island. And I had no idea where this was, what this place was, and then I saw puffins were mentioned, and I was like, what is this? So looked it up, and it wasn't that far of a drive to get to Ballycastle, where you get the ferry across to Rathlin Island. So I was like, you know what, we're gonna do this. So we went just on Tuesday here the other day and had an amazing time on the island. There's a bird conservatory there, and you see thousands of birds. Thousands. Like, it's not, you don't hear them chirping. You hear a roar. It was insane, the volume and the smell, but the volume of the birds. And you use binoculars, and we spotted the puffins, and it was the most exciting moment. And we just had such a fantastic day. And then on the drive home, actually, you know what, I do swear, so sorry, but I saw some sheep on the side of the road, and where I'm from in Canada, it would mainly be cows that you would have for your herds. You wouldn't really have sheep. Like, most would have just like cows, horses. Like, you wouldn't see sheep as much just where I'm from. So even though I've been here like 3 years and you see sheep all over the place, I still get very excited. So anyway, I had the window rolled down and I bought at a sheep, or bleated, and it it pawed back, so I will put that clip in here. But yeah, that was kind of my highlight of the month, and we would love to go back. It was just such a fun day. And yeah, honestly, we just really adored it. It's been such a great month. We've just been getting joy out of every possible moment we can, and it's kind of meant everything. So June has a lot of special memories for me now. So yeah, on that note, I hope you had an amazing month. Let me know what your favorite read of the month was. If you want to like, comment, and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. And I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Take care.
Yeah. It did it. It bad when I'm bad. I'm so proud. I'm so happy.